Imagine a world untouched by cities or machines, a raw, primal earth where survival was dictated not by strength alone, but by adaptation. It's 4.6 million years ago. Towering creatures roam vast plains. Among them, early hominins begin to shape a future built not just on instinct, but innovation. And at the center of that transformation, ivory. More than just a material, it was a lifeline, a tool, and, in time, a weapon. The earth back then was both violent and beautiful. Megafauna ruled the land, woolly mammoths, saber-toothed cats, massive herbivores. The climate was harsh, seasons unpredictable. But life thrived in adaptation. Early human ancestors, Australopithecus and later Homo habilis, roamed these lands. Small, vulnerable, and unequipped for direct confrontation with nature's giants, they relied on cunning, community, and resourcefulness. Ivory was one of nature's gifts. Harvested from mammoth tusks, it offered more than decoration. It was durable, workable, and abundant in some regions. At first, ivory may have been seen as a mere curiosity, but over time, early humans learned to shape it. Using sharpened stones, they began crafting spear points, needles, and cutting tools. Unlike brittle bone or soft wood, ivory could withstand repeated use and offered a unique edge in daily survival. This wasn't just tool making, it was the dawn of engineering. Across Ice Age Europe and parts of Africa, archaeologists have uncovered carefully carved ivory pieces, some ceremonial, others clearly utilitarian. But the question remains, what drove them to evolve this material into something more? Ivory weapons weren't ideal for war. They were for hunting, asserting dominance, and defending against predators. Early spears tipped with ivory helped humans strike from a distance. In hunting packs, this extended reach gave them an edge against faster, larger prey. It also allowed for new hunting strategies, ambushes, traps, and coordinated attacks. Over time, the tusk became a symbol of power. Whoever held the strongest tools, made of the finest ivory, often held status within the group. This material wasn't just a tool, it was cultural capital. As early humans developed language and ritual, ivory took on a new role, not just survival, but expression. Ivory carvings, some dating back over 30,000 years, depict animals, figures, and abstract symbols. The famed Lion Man sculpture of Germany, carved from mammoth ivory, is one of humanity's oldest known mythological figures. What does this tell us? That ivory was more than a weapon, it became a canvas for early imagination. It allowed our ancestors to capture the world they saw, and perhaps the one they dreamed. But every innovation has a cost. As human populations grew, so did their reliance on ivory. Mammoths and other tusked animals were hunted not just for food, but for their precious material. Over centuries, this contributed to their decline. This wasn't just an ecological shift, it changed the dynamics of survival. As ivory grew scarce, groups were forced to innovate again, adapting to bone, antler, and stone. But the cultural value of ivory remained strong, even into recorded history from ancient Africa to imperial China. Ivory's story is one of transformation, of nature turned tool, tool turned weapon, and weapon turned art. In many ways, it mirrors humanity's own evolution, our ability to shape the world around us, to extract meaning and utility from the raw elements of Earth. Long before modern civilization, long before recorded history, the world was a wild, untamed place. Dense forests, vast plains, and colossal beasts ruled the land. It was a time when survival wasn't guaranteed, it had to be earned. Among the most astonishing tools of that era, one material stood out. Ivory, smooth, strong, and mysterious, it became more than a trophy. It was survival, shaped by human hands. 4.6 million years ago, Earth was home to an array of megafauna, massive animals like mastodons, mammoths, and giant sloths. Our ancestors were small in number, yet growing in curiosity and capability. These early hominins didn't have claws, fangs, or natural defenses, but they had something more powerful: ingenuity. As they began scavenging bones and tusks from carcasses, they found ivory to be uniquely durable and workable. Unlike stone or wood, it was lighter, smoother, yet hard enough to carve and sharpen. Ivory wasn't just found, it was chosen. And that choice marked the beginning of a technological shift. As humans evolved, so did their tools. The tusks of mammoths weren't just remnants of the hunt, they became extensions of the hunter. Archaeological discoveries across Europe and Siberia reveal how early Homo sapiens shaped ivory into spear points, knives, hooks, and even composite tools, blades attached to wooden shafts for greater efficiency. These weren't crude instruments. Many of them were polished, engraved, and reinforced. In cold climates, ivory could be shaped into needles for sewing animal hides. In forests, it was used for harpoons and traps. In open plains, sharpened ivory tips gave hunters the ability to wound from a distance, game-changing for those tracking giant prey. What's fascinating is how these tools weren't just functional. They often carried aesthetic and symbolic meaning. Early humans didn't just survive, they crafted. Ivory's importance didn't stop at tools. Some of humanity's earliest artworks were etched into mammoth tusks, figurines of animals, humans, and hybrid creatures. The famous Lion Man of Hohenstein-Stadel, dated around 40,000 years ago, was carved entirely from mammoth ivory. This wasn't just a carving, it was a myth, a story, a piece of belief preserved in tusk. Such artifacts reveal something profound. Ivory became intertwined with identity, mythology, and ritual. It was rare, beautiful, and long-lasting, qualities that made it sacred. In a world where death was common and life fragile, these ivory figures may have been symbols of protection, guidance, or connection to the unknown. But as humans mastered ivory, they also began to overuse it. The demand for tusks led to increased hunting of mammoths and other tusked species. While climate change played a large role in the extinction of these creatures, human predation, particularly for ivory, accelerated their decline. What started as survival evolved into status. The more elaborate the carving, the more prestige it held. Ivory shifted from a survival tool to a symbol of power, craftsmanship, and trade. And as it became rarer, it also became more valuable, eventually leading to unsustainable exploitation that echoes even into modern times. From a broken tusk in the mud to a polished spear or sacred figure, ivory tells a powerful story of resilience, creativity, and consequence. It reminds us that the first true human tools weren't just objects, they were choices. Choices that shaped the way we hunted, lived, believed, and ultimately how we saw ourselves in a world where survival meant transformation. To understand ivory's significance, we must first step back into a world ruled by giants. Across the plains of Africa and Eurasia, colossal mammoths, mastodons, and other megafauna roamed freely. The air was thick with tension. Predators stalked the weak, and harsh climates demanded constant movement. Humans, or more precisely our distant ancestors, were just beginning their evolutionary journey. They lacked the speed of the cheetah, the strength of the bear, or the armor of the rhino. They possessed something far more powerful, a growing brain capable of planning, imagining, and crafting. This edge would change the fate of our species. Amid the scattered bones and natural debris, early humans found ivory. At first, it was simply a material to be used, sturdy, abundant, and lighter than stone.